Welcome to Stuck in My Mind podcast, the show where we dive into the mind of a regular guy on his road to self-discovery. You'll hear everyday people just like you share the latest topics, personal stories, and things they've learned along the way. And now, please welcome your host, Wise.
And welcome to another episode. I am your host, WIZE, and I have a very special guest on today. She's actually an author. She has 2 poetry novels out available on Amazon. Welcome to the show, Amber B. What's going on?
Hey, nothing much. Doing good. Just writing and just trying to get this podcast thing going and letting people know about my books and my message. And yeah, I'm excited to be on the show with you.
So, all right. So 2 poetry novels. What made you? Have you always been a writer, or is that just
I have always
what?
been a
What?
writer. Yes.
Okay.
I started writing, of course, when I was younger, just like I literally, since I could probably hold a pencil, have been trying to like write or writing little limericks, or I've always been into poetry. I just never actually published any of my poetry. It was always more um, for my own eyes.
So, what made you actually step out of your comfort zone and actually publish 2 of your own books, two poetry books at that?
You know, I was given a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, actually read one of my poems, which I never let people read my poems, but he read a poem by me and he immediately said, "You need to let people hear this." And this was probably like about 5 or 6 years ago. I was like, "No, this is not for anybody else's eyes. I would never do that." But then um, I just started thinking about it, and then I started going back into all my journals and reading them and just thinking about some of the things that I've gone through. And I was like, why not me? Like, obviously, I was given a talent. Why not share it? And then, of course, with the whole pandemic came about, and I'm sitting in my office and I'm looking and I'm just reading some of my journals. And I didn't have anything else to do. So I started putting my journals together in um, I guess, story format. So I took a lot of my lyrics and I put them together in a format that I would want it to be read in. So it kind of told like a lyrical story. So that's how I ended up with the first book, Becoming a Beautiful, Articulate Person, The Genesis of Transformation. I just took a lot of those poems and tried to make it look like a story about how my life played out. So it's like a lyrical story in a way. That's how it happened.
So the books are basically your life. You're telling your story in your books with your poetry.
Yes, so I'm telling my story, some things I've gone through, some hurtful situations, some just empowering situations, but ultimately how the last book that I just put out this year is called The Lyrical Journal of Sapphire Rhymes, Teardrop Stain Confessions. Now, technically, that's the first book that I published, but I had to redo it after I did the second one, the book Becoming book. So, in Teardrop Stain Confessions, I'm talking about there's some happy moments, there's some sad moments, there's some raunchy poems as well, but it's all about things that I've gone through. And, I feel like my grandmother used to always say, God wouldn't allow you to go through all of this to not be able to share it with somebody. So use the things that hurt you to inspire others. And I took that and I just kind of, you know, let God kind of lead me in the direction that I should go with that. Just telling my story about because I believe you have to use your failure sometimes to fuel your success. Sometimes you have to go through the hurt, but that's what's going to drive you, and that's what drives me. So that's what I always, like to, I guess, feed off of and to continue forth and to inspire others.
No, that's awesome. And that's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to you stepped out of your zone. You did something that you normally don't do. You let someone read your work, and that's the first step. It was just getting you to let someone else to read your work, and sometimes you need to hear it from someone else
Yeah.
to solidify it within yourself. Like when you, especially when you hear from someone that you know their opinion is what they're saying is honest. They're not saying it just to blow smoke up your butt or whatever.
Mhm.
And that's what kind of that's what drives me is when I have someone, a coworker of mine. He's a real good friend of mine, and I know he listens to podcasts and he listens to shows. And for him to say, "Hey, keep doing what you're doing. I like what you're doing," that kind of like made me go like, "Okay, cool. Like I can do this. This is something I'm able to do. This is something that I'm meant to do. This is this I found my purpose is to be on the mic and try to help people and help people share their story. Someone like you, where again you stepped out of your zone, you stepped out of what made you comfortable, and published 2 books,
Yeah.
and
Thank
that
you.
should show people that hey, listen, look, she's stepped out of what she normally does, and she went and wrote 2 books. So to me that's cool. That's amazing. That's something good. That and are you self published or did you go to through a publisher?
I actually am self-published, so they're available on Amazon, but I have a business that I'm in the process of launching currently. It's called Articulate Business Group. So I used that as my publishing group. So I am in the process of launching that as well. It's still in under construction, but that's what I want to utilize that business to help other people write their books. My background is actually in technical communication, and I have a bachelor's in linguistics and technical communication. So I have been doing writing and publishing um, since I graduated. So that's what I want to utilize my talents for, to help other people write their books and publish, because that has changed my life as well. And I'm still becoming, I'm still learning. So, but I want to help other people share their story, just like you were just saying.
Yeah, no, you're always still learning. You're always still growing. The moment you stop growing and developing, it's over. Because it's that life. That's what life is. Life is lessons, learning and growing and developing. And it took me to a real like I'm in my 40s, and it took me and they've said for a long time that men don't really reach their peak as far as success until their 40s. Like they'll go through their trials and tribulations in 20s and 30s, and once they get in their 40s, that's when they really start hitting their prime as far as success goes. And I've kind of found that to be kind of true with me. Like I didn't really know what my purpose was. I didn't really have a passion. I didn't have anything I was truly passionate about. There was things I enjoyed doing. There was things I like, but there was nothing that moved me to where this is when I wake up, this is what I'm thinking about, or when I'm at work, this is what I'm thinking about. So once I finally decided to stop being afraid and press record and start doing my podcast, it's just been a snowball effect. It's just been a big snowball and just been building and building and building. And that's what I want to do is be able to share my story, have people come share their story, and let people know, hey, listen, if you want to truly want to be successful and you truly want to do something that you love doing and find what you're passionate about, do that. You're gonna struggle at first. Everything's you're gonna fail more than you succeed, but it's you continue as long as you continue to get up and attempt and go, and eventually you're gonna hit the target. You're gonna hit it. It's what happens is when you just. I was listening to Anthony Robbins earlier. He was talking about Michael Jordan, and he talked about Michael Jordan about What motivated you to be the best player in the world? And it wasn't skill, it wasn't talent, it was just he didn't compete against anyone else. He competed against himself. He worked on making himself better every day.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't looking at other players as competition. He looked at himself as competition, which we should do is what can I do to make myself better today than I was yesterday?
Absolutely.
So
I definitely
that's what I love doing my podcast.
agree. No, I totally agree. I think that's awesome, what you're doing and just using that platform, and helping other people just kind of inspire other people. That's awesome to me, and that's where I'm, hoping to go with my books and just sharing my story. I've gone through a lot, so a lot of my things I've gone through on the emotional side. I actually have type 1 diabetes, so that's been a struggle. So that I kind of have some poems that kind of talk a lot about that and about the struggle of illnesses and anxiety, depression. My poetry books have, I think the topics range from a little bit of everything. There's some, mm, I guess you could say, Black Lives Matter type content, just different things that I think will reach a lot of people. But it's ultimately at the end of the day for me about becoming better. Um, because one of my quotes in my book that I always like to refer back to is, it's not about who you were or who you are, it's about who you're becoming. And again, it goes back to what my grandmother said, it's about using your what you've gone through to help inspire others, and using those painful moments, even the raunchy moments, as some of my poems lead to, just to inspire others and show people that's not what you're about. So I'm really big on sharing that part of me, and I'm an open book. So pun intended.
No, it's not. It's cool because I feel I get to be myself when I do my podcast, and I try to be
Hmm.
my honest to God self, just me. I don't try to be anything more. I don't try to act like I'm anything more than what I am. I just enjoy talking to people and learning and being able to hear their stories. So for me, it's great. It's like I get to. It's kind of. It's not. I said this to someone a guest one time, and I said it's kind of selfish on my part that I do the show because I get to speak to amazing people like yourself and see what drove you to be successful. And sometimes you can take that and apply it to yourself and do something similar, and not necessarily what you're doing, but something similar, and just so it's like, yes, my listeners are benefiting from, but the person said, listen, it's not being selfish. It's you're that's showing that you love yourself. You're actually wanting to improve and learn. They said that's not being selfish. That's self-love. That's you wanting to develop and grow as a person. So I kind of changed my perspective as far as, you know what, you're absolutely right. This is me wanting to grow, and so it wasn't me being selfish on that part. So because the way you use words affect affect you heavily. Is it's
Absolutely.
I one of the things I said to her is like, watch what you say to yourself. You really have to watch what you say to yourself. You have to be very kind to yourself because you're very sensitive. So you need to be careful. Like say, oh, I'm an idiot or stupid. No, you need to watch what you say to yourself. Just and people don't realize that they'll still say these words like, oh, I can't do that, or I'm never gonna be get able to get out from under all these bills, or just little all this there's little things that they're just putting out there that the universe will respond to, and you'll see that you never get out from under the hole.
True.
So to be able to speak upon it and let people know that, hey, there's more to life than just I don't know. I've it's funny because no, it's crazy because everyone has a story. Honestly, everyone has a story to share, and it's unique to them. Me, I was widowed at 31. I lost I lost my first wife in a
Oh,
car accident. The following year, I reconnected with my father after 25 years of not having him in my life. I go see him Father's Day weekend of '09. I get there Friday, make my peace with him. He suffered from diabetes just like yourself. He was already he was really sick, still struggling. He was really struggling with it. I reunite with him. That Saturday morning, he passes away. I lost a brother, uncle. It was a 5 year span where I lost a lot of people very close to me, and I could have easily just used that as an excuse to why I wasn't successful. Easily been like, oh, just everything's been stacked against me. God hates me. Everything, and that's how it was. That's honestly, I was angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at everything,
hmm
and it wasn't until I realized that these are things you couldn't control. These are things I had to really. I went to therapy, seeked help, let a lot of things go, and was able to move on. And not everyone is like that. It's there's people struggling through mental health every day.
hmm
So I'm glad that for you, your poetry gave you that outlet
Right.
to put your voice out there, because not everyone is able to put their voices out there.
Mhm. I totally agree, and I'm sorry to hear about your loss. I think that's definitely true. I mean, we all go through similar battles, and I know last year, around the time that I was putting my that becoming book out, I lost my biological father. He passed away. Um, and but one of the last conversations that we had, he actually said to me, "No, Amber, you're too talented. You need to put that book out. You need to start that business. Keep going. Don't stop." And so that always kind of echoes back in my ear, and just thinking about that, and just continuing to strive forward, just to not just to make him proud, but just to know that um, I think us telling our stories and using our stories to help other people is a beautiful thing, and that's kind of where I came up with the concept of becoming a beautiful, articulate person, because my Instagram tag is articulate beauty, but telling your stories is a beautiful thing. It's You have to be well spoken and tell that story, and that's what kind of unites us all as beautiful, articulate people, just telling our stories and helping others. So I think that that's it's powerful and it's necessary. And so that's why I do have when you were talking about self-love, like one of the things that I in my book that I talk about is true love. And true love starts with self-love. You can't find love in someone else until you learn to love yourself. And I had to do that. I had to actually fall back in love with myself um, in order to be able to, for one, I have two now preteen and teenage daughters, but in order to show them how to be beautiful and how to be strong Black women, I had to really learn how to love myself. I talk about in my poetry books. I went through some sexual molestation as a teenager and rape, and that put a lot of post traumatic stress on me. So that's one of the things that I have some poems about, that I just really want to make sure that young girls realize that they don't have to dwell on things that happened to them in the past. They can use those hurtful moments to strive to be better, to become better. And so that's really my passion, is helping young girls, and not just young girls, but just young people in general, and just um, everybody really.
No, I'm like I said, I'm glad you're here sharing your story and able to tell people about what happened to you. And And that's what it takes. It takes you being able to speak. Every time I speak about whatever happened to me, it's a little bit of healing for me. It is, and it's because I really, because every time I really get to speak about it and let it out, it kind of just kind of gives me a little side, like little weight off my shoulder, a little more healing, and again, they're always the people that I've lost. They're always gonna be with me because I've always have the memories of them and all that. But again, it took me just like yourself, truly falling in love with myself, really finding
Mm,
who I was and who I wanted to be, and just working towards that, and really, and I'm not perfect. I still have my flaws. I still need to work on myself, but that's what life is. It's one big journey where you're
mm,
working on yourself, you're developing and growing, and you're just enjoying every aspect of it. It's like it's so cliche, but you really aren't guaranteed tomorrow. You really aren't. When you wake up, you're supposed to. When you wake up, you're supposed to be like, "Thank God I'm alive to see another day, to to do something to better myself,
mhm,
or to do something to help someone else." It just should be, that should be like one of the, when I wake up, I know I'm happy that I'm able to wake up, and that means that means that I get to see my family again. I get to do podcasting. I get to speak to great guests. So it's always something to look forward to. So I am grateful every morning that I wake up, and people might think it's cliche, but like I said, it's when you've experienced what I have gone through and what other people, you just go and take and enjoy life as it comes.
definitely. I totally agree with that. Just seizing the moment and like you said, every day, and I've started to do this in the morning. I kind of like to greet God in a way. I don't know if that sounds kind of weird, but just like I'm like, "Good morning, God. Thank you, thank you for waking me up. This is going to be a great day." And so it's just kind of my way of meditating and praying. Some people pray in the morning, but it's just kind of my way of like just thanking God, like you said, that I'm alive and I've come through so much that, and I realized, regardless of what somebody's faith is or whatever, I know for me, I couldn't have made it this far without um, God, without um, just that relationship that I have with him. And I have poems that kind of reflect that as well. Just knowing how far I've been in the hospital, I've had illnesses, I've had situations where I didn't know. I almost lost my eyesight. I almost couldn't walk. Like I had two surgeries on my foot. And just to be able to like walk outside and not be in the hospital is like my testimony. And being able to see and have sight. I actually got my vision corrected. I have to wear these for reading purposes, my glasses, but I was able to get my vision corrected so that I can see without my glasses, with the exception of reading. But that's a testimony to me because if you knew where I came from and the things that I had to go through to get there, I mean, I'm just like so thankful, and I just try to like give give that energy out every day going forward, and just when I hear people that, they may be going through something, I try to use that and say, listen, but are you alive? Do you have breath? Last year, around June, I had COVID in the hospital. That was a horrible, horrible. I've been in the hospital before, but there was nothing quite like gasping for air and could barely make it to the restroom without having a hard time breathing. Like that was probably the worst I've ever felt. But to be on the other side of it, a lot of people can't share that story. So that's that's another piece of my testimony. So I'm just so thankful, and I just want to continue to share that. I don't know if my next book will be poetry. I think I'm going to try more of a self help, but I do enjoy like writing poetry. Like you said, it's my therapy. So
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm glad everything worked out with you in the COVID, because I lost a real good friend of mine to COVID in February, and and it's like all this nonsense with the vaccine and the mandates. I'm like, if people want to get vaccinated, just let them. If they don't, that's it's
Hmm.
we. This is what this country was built on is to the freedom of choice. Is to be able to,
Right.
and if they don't choose to be vaccinated, then fine. Like I chose to do it because I wanted to. I didn't do it because my job told me to. I didn't do it because my wife told me to. And my wife didn't even want to do it. She didn't, and so I decided on my own, and that was me. No one
Hmm.
forced me. But to see people battle and argue, and it's just another thing that causes division between us. And I'm not worried about that. I got other things. I have other purpose in life than to worry about these people and their agenda, because like I said, I have a purpose and I'm not going to deviate from the purpose, because there's a lot of people that need my help out there, and I'm gonna just continue to do what I do.
And that, yeah, that's so true. I mean, there's bigger things going on in this world than whether or not this person decided to have the vaccine versus this person. I know the decision that I made for me and my family, and that's what I have. I can all I can do is share what I went through with COVID and hope that that will calm, because I think a lot of it just deals with fear. So if I can share what I went through with COVID and maybe that helps them mm, make a better, what I feel is a better decision, then I will. But just to try to, force it down somebody's throat, I do kind of have a bit of a problem with that, because I just feel like I have a problem with forcing somebody to make a certain decision. Like you said, this country was based on, having those the freedom to choose. Now, whether or not I agree with your decision, that's between you and the powers that be. But um, all I can do is share my testimony and try to help others. And um, just I'm on a whole different um, just kind of playing field at this point. And I think it took me a while to get here. It goes back to that self reflection and self love. And I was hurt for a while. And I think my hurt, like you, I think I remember I heard you say this a while back. It caused me to lash out on people that maybe didn't, that probably didn't deserve it, because I was going through something. So I may have lashed out on people because of the situation that I was in, and it wasn't right. But it did. Now that I reflect back, I've grown from that, and I just want to use the positive energy that I'm feeling now and just give that back to people instead of that hurtful place that I was in. So that's another way that I'm becoming, and just want to help other people in their becoming journey.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Amber, I appreciate you being on, but now is the time where you plug away and you let everybody know where they can find you and find your books.
Okay, definitely. So my books are called. My first book is called "Becoming a Beautiful Articulate Person: The Genesis of Transformation," and you can get that on Amazon. Um, and or you can search by Amber Branch on Amazon and under books. And then the other book, which I'm planning on relaunching, is called The Lyrical Journal of Sapphire Rhymes. That was my former pen name, and it's Teardrop Stain Confessions. That's also available on Amazon. The Lyrical Journal of Sapphire Rhymes. I should be relaunching that. It's going to have a new cover, a new design. So I'm actually excited about that. But yes, it didn't do so well with the reviews initially when I launched it in June, but that's why we're going to go ahead and relaunch it. And I hope that, yeah, others will purchase and leave reviews. And I'm just excited about what God has in store for me in the future and helping others. So, yeah, just that's about
And
it.
what
And
did you give me Instagram and all that?
oh, yes, my Instagram tag is at Articulate Beauty One. Um, I'm on Facebook, Amber Branch, or no, I believe it's Amber R Branch, but I'm actually, and then I'm also on Twitter at abranch19. So those are my social media tags. So follow me. I encourage. I'm trying to build up my social media following as well. So would love the follows. Would love to connect with individuals and help them become beautiful, articulate people.
And anybody out there who's on my IG, you can find her. We're friend. We are actually following each other, so you can probably find her through me as well. So definitely, if I really want to reach out, and we're friends on Facebook. So we're following on Facebook. We're following each other on Instagram. So definitely,
right.
if y'all,
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say also my website is amberrbranch.com. That's my author website. So you can connect with me there also.
Awesome. Now it's time for my shout outs. Big shout out to my Real Wise fam, Bobby J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Big shout out to the boss lady, Fina. Love you, baby. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless you. Be safe. You know how your boy Wise does it. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Listen on iTunes, Podbean, Spotify, and TuneIn. Find us on social media on Twitter at wise_b_blunt, Instagram at wise_b_blunt, and a Facebook fan page, www.facebook.com/wise76. Check back soon for new episodes. Until next time, peace out.